Now, it's impossible to tell if, as a species, we're really, truly failing, but we're definitely at a point things are not going so well. We see it in the day to day. We see it in everything we experience. We see it in the way things are moving forward in our everyday lives. We've watched things we never imagined would happen. Our own government has done things that you got to question what's going on here and if it's really good for humanity. And I'm not even talking just like the United States, but like we are so fractured as a civilization, as humanity, due to the segmentation of society into different countries and that us versus them mindset. But in order to really hit the point I'm talking about of self government and self discipline, it requires a level of empathy that almost seems to get squashed by the status quo. It requires empathy that we're conditioned to ignore. It's very interesting because when I look back at my political ideology from the time I was like old enough to vote on, I recognized that the party system, not even just two-party system, but having political parties in the first place, did far more to segment our society and was more of a detriment to the political process than it was a benefit. And in all honesty, there's only been one time I've ever been registered with a political party in my life. It was when I was 18 years old and didn't understand that independent was actually a political party. That it didn't mean you didn't follow a political party or political ideology, that you just kind of were out there on your own. That would be party not designated, which was what I registered as the following year once I learned that. And truth be told, was what I was registered as right up until I realized our votes really don't matter. It's all it's all the illusion of choice to begin with, and I made the choice to stop voting. That's my personal belief. I don't expect anybody else to necessarily agree, share that viewpoint, and if you do, hey, I appreciate that you were willing to think outside the box a little, because that's really what I'm talking about here. In order to gain the level of self discipline required to self govern, you really, really have to be willing to go within yourself and hold yourself accountable for things that most people run away from. I mean, it's one thing to be the person who will say things behind someone's back, and it's quite another to be the person who will say the same things that they said behind your back to your face. It's just a matter of who do I end up getting asked about this stuff by first, you or someone else. I get those mindsets. And the thing is, I realize that those things get gossiped about and everything. Usually it's people pointing out the very flaws in themselves that they're too uncomfortable with to actually admit out loud. And so they point it out in someone else. I used to be guilty of it. And ultimately, I realized in all my problems, there's one common denominator. That common denominator was Jonas Spencer. Because in all the situations I was in, and with all the problems I had, couldn't possibly be everybody else all the time if I was the only common denominator. And I was willing to look at that. And I started on this quest for radical accept- accountability. I radical acceptance of responsibility for my actions, and it became a beautiful thing for me. And I see where self-government could move a society to the point we don't need kings and rulers. But will we ever get there? Odds are not in my lifetime. I don't think that and maybe I'm wrong on this. But I don't think there's enough people out there with the right mindset yet. And I don't know how long it would take to get enough people with the right mindset to even be able to run it as anything more than the thought experiment that led me to presenting things in this manner. And truth be told, it kind of worked out in ways I didn't really expect. I think this is indeed going to be episode 16 of the mini lecture series, as well as episode 1 of the Trail podcast. And I'm just going to be doing episode 1 in 2 parts here. And I'll be honest, I probably could have filmed the whole thing together. But the reality is, I ran into some charging issues and had to switch which device I was charging from my Chromebook to my soundboard in order to be able to finish this lecture. And truth be told, I like the way it's come out. I've been trying to get to where I was getting the podcast started, and I feel like today's conversation about self-government definitely was a good start. And I feel like, yeah, I'm just going to transition it. That was mini lecture number 16 / episode 1 of the Trail podcast. And yes, there will be more mini episodes or mini lectures. I will keep that running as a separate kind of series alongside the Trail podcast. And those will be on the shorter side. I do plan on hitting between that 20-minute to half-hour mark for the podcast. And there's always going to be some flexibility to that. And this is likely not going to be my final format for this. Truth be told, I would much rather have this be a more conversational format than a lecture format. And once I can find a co-host, most definitely will be moving this to more of a conversational format. For now, please like, subscribe, leave comments in the section below. Let me know what you think of the video, of the podcast. Let me know what you feel I could do better. I'm always open to suggestion, and I'm not going to be offended if you've got something that might improve what I'm doing. I'm new at this. I'm learning as I go, and I appreciate each and every one of you for taking the time to listen. Like I've said, if you're not already following, subscribed, please follow, subscribe, like this video, comment, share it with people that you think it might resonate with. And you guys have a blessed day. I want you to know, love you guys, and there will be more messages, more podcasts. This is the start of something big. I appreciate you guys being on the forefront on that with me and riding this wave with me from the get-go. Thank you, and have a blessed day.